Welcome back. My name is Corinne Phillips, and this is Fresh Pea Cooks. Today's Friday. It's Philosophy Friday, where sometimes we get together on Fridays and we talk about things that matter. So yesterday I went into Beaverton and I picked up a car, and I had an hour and a half drive home, and I was listening to my favorite podcast, On Being by Krista Tippett. And she basically interviews people, interesting people, from poets, musicians, to rabbinical scholars, theologians, and everything in between. And she talks about what it means to be human. And it's all with a very spiritual slant. So I was listening to her interview yesterday with Rabbi Lawrence Kushner, and they were talking about Kabbalah, or Jewish mysticism. And I've always been very attracted to mystical tradition in all religions. But I have found that people that are interested in spiritual, mystical traditions don't necessarily color within the lines. They don't necessarily want a rule book. They want to draw their own drawing. They want to experience what it means to be a religious person. They want to question, and a lot of our religions don't allow that. So I want to start off with a poem for you. And this is a poem that I read years ago, and it rang so true for me because of my life experience, because of my religious experience, because of my concept of spirituality. So I was raised in a very conservative Christian tradition, and so anytime I veered off course, or anytime I did something that wasn't acceptable within the community, I would be preached to. The Bible would be used as a sword. And so even to this day, if you want to get my flinch mechanism going, if you want to repel me to the core, use the Bible as a sword. So I'm going to read to you a poem by Edwin Markham that basically encapsulates my theology. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. So what does that mean? That speaks to me so perfectly about inquiring, being inquisitive, about asking questions, about questioning, about doubting, about finding out your truth, about the power of perspective, of love, of all of these things to completely, radically change our life. So yesterday, during this Rabbi Lawrence Kushner interview, I rewound it and played it 3 times, and then I listened to it again twice more this morning. And when somebody gives words to something that you have not had words for, it's very liberating. And then you can think of, within the terms of language, is this true for me? How does this answer questions that I've had? How does this bring up new questions? How does this pose conflicts? What does this mean within the constructs of living a spiritual life? So Rabbi Kushner had a really beautiful way of perceiving God. He said, basically, for all people, there's 2 ways of seeing God. There's the way that you have a big circle, that you draw this big circle, and then below it, a little circle. The big circle represents God. The little circle represents you. And there's a hierarchy, right? God is above. You pray to God. But there's also another way of seeing God. And you have a big circle, and within it, a little circle. So now there's no hierarchy. And in moments of divine spirituality, of moments of divine connectedness, that line between you and God gets blurred. So two very radical ways of seeing God. This one is much more Eastern, the encapsulated, God is in all things, God is all things. So thinking of God as being a separate entity rather than encapsulating is clearly a very different approach. And it answers some of the questions that philosophy has been answering for millennia, right? Like, if God is all omniscient and perfect, then why is there imperfection in the world? If God created the world, why is there things that are evil? So when we think about the all-encompassing perspective of God is everywhere, is in everything, it changes how we view the world radically. So Rabbi Kushner goes on to explain that the encapsulated concept of spirituality, the goal of it is to realize all along, despite everything that you've struggled against, that all of your illusions are a dimension of the divine. In the interview, Krista goes on and explains an ancient Jewish origin story about there being darkness. And then all of a sudden, this vessel of light emerges. And she says, of course, because it was a Jewish story, there was an accident. And so the vessel breaks open and light is shattered and spread throughout the cosmos, and little fractionated pieces of light are everywhere. And she says, we are born with the capacity to find the hidden light in all events and all people, to lift it up and make it visible once again, thereby restoring the innate wholeness of the world. So she said the collective task of all people is that we are all healers of the world. It's not about making a big splash and doing great things. It's about healing the world that touches you, the world around you. I almost can't work today when I read something like this that is so rich. There's so much texture to it. Like, we don't have words to express what these thinkers, what these philosophies, what these concepts mean to us. There are no words. It's something that you have to go inward for, this contemplation. All of the times that I've had divine experience have been times alone. They've been mundane times. Rabbi Lawrence Kushner called them garden variety, spiritual moments. Just time spent when you have an epiphany, or you gain a clarity or an insight, or you have a personal experience of the divine. And these are things that people don't want to talk about because they sound weird. We don't have even words to explain these experiences. With the exception of one time, I've experienced them alone. And so when I hear something like this and I read something that resonates so fully, I just want to be quiet. I just want to sit and be quiet with it, because to me that is the experience, the ultimate experience of communion. And it's not so much fellowship. It's never been a structured, organized religion. I grew up with that, and I saw intimately the failings in my life, and my path was very clear after that experience. So for me, this is the sort of thing that stops me in my tracks completely. So I wanted to share that with you. I don't know how philosophical this was. It was definitely more it was definitely more religion. And some of you hate religion, and I understand that. I really do. I was shunned because of religion, and I lost everybody that I loved in my life because of a religious dogmatic belief. So I get that. But I also believe that I was here, that I am here, that I'm experiencing this life because I have a spiritual purpose. And I don't necessarily equate the bad interpretations of religion with religion. I don't actually at all, because I've seen both. I've seen religion serve vital roles, and I've seen it transform people in magical ways, just as I've seen the opposite. I've seen it unravel people in really desperate ways. So I don't put a blanket over religion. I don't put a blanket over spirituality. I don't lock it into a box, and I don't feel personally that I have any ability whatsoever to dictate somebody else's experience with God, somebody's path, somebody's way. My way is not very structured, and yet it couldn't be clearer. So I wanted to share this with you. I don't know if it will inspire you like it did me. I'm going to turn off the camera. I was going to do a couple more videos, but I have to just sit for a while and let this all soak in as it will. So thank you for being here, and thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next video.